Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing today? My name is Dominic, and I'm joined by
Dane.
and this is our first episode of the podcast that we want to come out with on a weekly basis. We're going to try to. So, for starters, I guess we can get into why we're here, how we got into video games in general, and our history with Nintendo. So, I can start first if you want, or if you want to go.
No, let me go first. Well, I want you to go first. This is your project. So, Dom, I think you've told me every now and then about how you got started in video games, but like, what was the first system you had, and how did that start for you?
So, the first system that I technically owned myself, so I guess the first system that was brought into my household was an N64, is the Donkey Kong one.
Really, I thought
yeah.
you started with handhelds.
I owned a handheld. So the Donkey Kong Jungle Green one was brought into my home, and it was my older brother, so by default I barely got to touch it. So that was my first like true time playing a Nintendo game. It was Mario Kart 64, Pokemon Snap, of course, and Pokemon Stadium. But my first true console to myself was I believe it was the Indigo Clear Game Boy Color. I think it was that one with a Oh, no. It was the Pikachu Game Boy Advance SP, the yellow Pikachu Game Boy Advance SP with Pokemon Yellow in it. So that kind of pushed me towards Nintendo, RPGs, and Pokemon. And that was my true first like one-on-one, this is my own experience with Nintendo. And then from there, just kind of primarily stuck with handhelds for a while. I didn't get my own console to myself until the Wii U. That's when I actually went out, had my first job, and bought my own Nintendo console. But throughout the years, like, Christmas, holidays, birthdays, we had like the GameCube. We skipped the Wii. We got the Wii at the very end of its lifespan, but I think we got Xbox 360. But my older brother always had the consoles. I pretty much was stuck with the handhelds. So yeah, pretty much from there, that's where it started, and then it just kind of blossomed to where it's at now. What about you?
Okay, so I mean, growing up, like we had systems around the house. Like my brother, like I was aware of video games; they were around, but it didn't really like the first thing what really launched my love for video games was, I think everyone sometime in their childhood has like the perfect holiday, or like the holiday, or Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, that is like the one you remember the most. And mine was like, I must have been in first grade. My parents got me and my brothers to share an N64.
That must have been tough.
Yeah. And with that, they gave us each our own game. One of my brothers got a Hot Wheels game. One of my brothers got Smash Bros. And I got Pokemon Snap. But then we also each got our own Game Boy Color. They were all the same lime green ones. And they each came, and we each got a different copy of Gen 1 Pokemon.
Oh, nice.
So, that was like a great holiday. And then like from then on, we were just like a Nintendo family. It was just like every time that the next console came out, we just got that was what we got for Christmas. So it's like we got a few years later we got the GameCube. I remember my dad going out shopping to get the Wii on Black Friday.
That was a nightmare.
The only other time that like we stopped getting them was like when I got older, and if I like around the DS time is just like the DSi is when I started having to buy consoles for myself. So it was so DSi onwards, I've basically had to buy my own systems. But and I've been mostly just like a Nintendo only person up until recently with the PS4, and finally got me in there with Horizon on the PS4.
Wow. So you started with Sony with the PS4?
Yeah.
Wow.
I haven't. Well, actually, earlier, like my brother Zach, when he was in high school, he bought a PS2 to play Kingdom Hearts, okay, and we only had the PS2 as long as it took him to play Kingdom Hearts. Then he sold that, and he got an Xbox, and then subsequently a 360. But like, I didn't own my own PlayStation until the PS4.
That's interesting. I mean, I had the the PS2, just because I feel like the PS2 was like the Wii where everyone just kind of had one. Like you just ended up with one. I don't know
we
how.
were like the only people that didn't have it. It was like I'd go
It
over
was
to friend's house and they had
everywhere.
it. But
Like I remember, it was so it was just like I actually we went to Toys R Us, rest in peace, the local Toys R Us at my house at the time, and I believe we were with my babysitter, and it was a white PS2 bundled with Dance Dance Revolution, and he was just like, "Oh no!" I was actually my babysitter took my family to Toys R Us for whatever odd reason, and he was just my mom was like, "Do you guys want a PS2?" And we were like, "Sure." So I got that and the Naruto Uzumaki, like the Clash of the Ninja games, and I was really big into Naruto. I still am into Naruto, but that was just the first game that came to mind, and then that is what kind of drove me into. I hate to say it, but the real reason I stuck with Sony so long is just because Kingdom Hearts. I mean, that's what drove me to Kingdom Hearts. The first one, I played the sequel on that, and then I pretty much. I bought my PS4 for Final Fantasy because big Final Fantasy fan as well. So Final Fantasy 15 really sold me on the PS4. But yeah, pretty much the same ship, mainly with Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo's always been that console that I could go, or hardware manufacturer that I could go to that always had a good time. It was, growing up, I didn't get a lot of games, so I always knew if I was going to get a new game, it was going to be a Nintendo game because. I mean, you could spend dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of hours easily into one, New Super Mario Bros. New Super Mario Bros. I think that's what the DS one was called, right?
Yeah, something like that. Must have been one of those titles.
People played that to death, and the nice thing, especially being a Pokemon fan, as you know, you replayed those games constantly. I mean, I could literally get Pokemon Soul Silver, and that would hold me over until Pokemon Black or Gen 5 came out, or Pokemon Platinum, whichever the next one was at the time, and that's pretty much how it went. And I actually primarily just stuck with Pokemon for such a long time. I mean, I would get like games here and there that were from Nintendo's other properties, but I was glued to Pokemon. It was exclusively Pokemon almost. It was insane.
So would you say that you're like Pokemon's your favorite franchise, or like where does Pokemon stand now with you?
It's so I actually up until 2016 Pokemon was my favorite franchise. There was no doubt in my mind. Pokemon. I mean, when I got my first console, the Pikachu Game Boy Advance SP, Pokemon Yellow was my first game. I went on to Fire Red. I actually played Fire Red, then I went back to Sapphire because I didn't even know that was a thing until after Fire Red. Emerald, and the only time I'd buy a new console is if there's a new Pokemon game, and so that's what drove me. And over the years, like friends, family, holidays, birthdays, some games would pile up here and there, but I would always exclusively play Pokemon. So when 2016 hit and Sun and Moon came out, I was really happy with Sun and Moon. A couple months later, the Switch came out, and so I owned the Wii U, and the only game I owned for the Wii U was Pokemon Battle Revolution, Pokken Tournament. That was the first game I bought. I actually bought it bought the Wii U for that game. Terrible decision. Not worth $60 and definitely not worth buying a Wii U over. But then the Switch came out. And once the Switch came out, the first game I got with that was Breath of the Wild, which is
what everyone got.
Yeah.
What else did you do when the Switch came out?
That game was amazing. So the Switch really pushed me to try out. And I was always familiar with Nintendo IPs. I played them here and there, but I was always exclusively just tied to Pokemon. And there were chances where I could play other franchises, but for whatever reason, I just played so much Pokemon. And
okay, now that you've said Pokemon 50 million times, I'm gonna cut you off there. This is like, so so if Pokemon isn't your favorite franchise, what was it that changed your mind? Because you said you loved Sun and Moon. This is like what was the game that knocked Pokemon away and said, I'm the new best franchise?
So there's kind of two answers to this. So the what started to kind of me and Pokemon to kind of go our different ways was, it started with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon felt
It was 98% the same game.
Yeah, and
it was the only thing that changed was like your Ultra Necrozma and like the Ultra Wormhole.
And
trust me, I hated buying that game as well.
Yeah, and I actually remember I beat that game while at work, and I literally just beat it to beat it because I bought it and I was very unhappy with paying $42 for that game, and
I'm with you on that because you know this, but like the previous year I had gone through and completely done the entire national decks, and I was just like, they introduced like 2 new Pokemon or something in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, so I had to buy the game just to get those 2 other Pokemon.
I think for me it was the only thing I liked was the Rainbow Rocket. I thought that was pretty cool, but even then with the other definitive games, the third games, whatever we want to call them, I always thought there was enough to justify purchasing the game again. And at the time, like I said, I played so much Pokemon, so anything new Pokemon, I was just immediately enamored with, right? So I was just like, yes, give me more. I mean, I played the spin-offs, everything. So growing up, I always felt like when I bought Emerald, I was happy. When I bought Platinum, I was happy. All those definitive versions, you know, they're still some of my favorite games. But Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon just felt way too similar. So that kind of didn't leave a good taste in my mouth. And then Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee came out. I enjoyed those. Those did literally, like, they scraped by to get to like, for me to be like, that was okay. And then, of course, it tugged on the nostalgia strings, Kanto, this, that, and the fourth. But it was really Sword and Shield that made me just stop liking the franchise as much as I did, because there's so much controversy surrounding those games before they came out. And I always looked the other way. I was like, it's Pokemon. I'll play Pokemon because I like Pokemon. But once I finished the game and I wrapped everything up, I just couldn't shake the feeling of like, there could have been more done. And it just wasn't done. I mean, some of the animation that they were, it's just, there's just like some parts you're like, really? They did that? But I feel like so much more could have been done. And it was just like, yeah, no, we're just going to sell you on this. And then, new hardware, things like that. So yeah, they're maybe given the benefit of the doubt, I think the DLC is going good so far. But so my new favorite franchise would actually have to be, and I've been thinking about this for a while. It's I don't think this is my favorite, but it's really getting in that direction. And actually, before I say it, I want to ask you yours.
All right. Well, I mean, you obviously know what
yes.
But I think I know where you're going. But my favorite franchise is, of course, The Legend of Zelda.
Yes, that's kind of where mine's going towards right now, but it could change. So, what's your experience with Zelda? What kind of made you, into the Zelda fan you are now?
My going theory is that I was just like, you ever like get something stuck in your ear, like a song stuck in your ear, or like a problem stuck in your head, and you just keep going over it, and like it becomes like an obsession. I think that's what happened, because when I love video games. I'm a big fan of video games. I will never tell you that I am good at video games.
Yeah, I can't agree with that statement more.
When I first played, when I first played Ocarina of Time.
So that was your first Zelda game?
Yes. Well, no, I mean, I'm not 100% sure. It was either Ocarina of Time or it was Link's Awakening on the Game Boy Color. Link's Awakening DX on the Game Boy Color.
Great game.
It was just like, it was about the same time. I can't tell you exactly. Like, I don't remember like getting either of those as a gift or something. It was just like, they were just like around the same time. But it's just like, there's a large part of Zelda games is puzzle based, figuring out where to go, exploring the area. It's just like, I could never beat Ocarina of Time or Link's Awakening as a kid. So it's just
I don't blame you.
I spent so much of my time just like running around in the open world, like trying to figure it out. And like, I think my current theory is, I just can't figure these games out, so they're just stuck in my head. So I need to, so like, it just got in my head, and I was just like, now I'm just at this point where I can get through a Zelda pretty easily now. It's just like, I know Ocarina so much that like, if I try, like, for the longest time, Ocarina was my favorite game of all time, and like I kind of want to see Breath of the Wild, but Breath of the Wild is still so new that like I don't want to say, oh yeah, this one knocked it out. It's just like, and it's so not what a Zelda has been over the years. It's very much more true to that first Zelda experience. So it's just like, I don't want to say that it's my favorite game because it's still such a new thing, but Zelda is definitely like my number one franchise.
The reason why I started kind of leaning towards Zelda is because I've been replaying Twilight Princess, and
it's a love letter to Ocarina of Time.
It really is, and I'm about 13 hours into it. I am going to rescue. I'm about to butcher his name. The Zora Prince, Rails, or whatever his name is.
Rallis?
Yeah, Rallis.
I know how it's spelled, but I can't pronounce it either. It's just like, it's one of those things that you look at, it's like, there could be like 3 different pronunciations.
Yeah, I kept saying, I was like, I kept just, because you're using Wolf Link and you're using, going with, oh my gosh, Elia's scent to find him. And I just, anytime I'm Wolf, I just don't like playing as Wolf Link, so I'm immediately like, give me out there, give me out there, give me out there.
I have fun. I love doggies.
But what I thought to myself is like, I was like, man, this is just feels like Ocarina of Time 2.0. But my takeaway was, this is a good Zelda game, but a great game.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I'm like, every Zelda game I've played, I have never been dissatisfied with. And Zelda does follow, its patterns. Of course, the top-down Zeldas are, it's pretty much like A to B. Even the 3D Zeldas are A to B. But there's something it's just so good. Like, it's like eating pizza like once every couple months. It's just like every time you just savor it, it's good, and it's going to be good. And the only time I've truly been let down with a Zelda game, and this is not even like enough for me to be like dissatisfied with my purchase or anything, was Skyward Sword. And that's just because the immense amount of dialogue in that game, I just thought there was way too much.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I can't tell you it's a bad game, because it's I think there's a lot of things, especially going into the second half, where and even Twilight Princess does the same thing, where it's literally like, okay, we got here, but now we're pretty much going to do all the same. And you could say it's padding, but the gameplay is so good. It's just like you just want to keep going.
No, Skyward Sword, like, it tried some interesting things. Wasn't fun. It's just like, I'm gonna quote like some Ego Raptor lines at you. This is
oh, that's the guy who did
Sequelitis.
Yeah, he thinks that the Link to the Past is better than Ocarina of Time. That blows my mind.
He has a good point.
I can't get behind that. I tried and I can't.
No, a lot of people a lot of people's favorite Zelda is like usually the first one they played.
Of course.
But like Link to the Past does do a lot more, or like plays a lot around with a lot more things than Ocarina of Time does. I think Ocarina was great, and I really love Ocarina, but like maybe I haven't played Link to the Past enough to get tired of it, but like I'll go back to Ocarina, and I'm tired of Ocarina by the time I get to Jabu Jabu's belly, because like I've played that so much.
I think Ocarina is in a weird spot, right? Because it's not it's a little bit of Ocarina as a product of its time.
Yeah.
Like it's a little bit, but it's still such a good, like, it's still a good game. So it's really hard.
It's still a good game, don't get me wrong.
It's hard to like kind of throw it into that, it's just first 3D. Like, they nailed it. They knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, but then like it was so good that
Link
like
to the Past is like the pinnacle of like 2D Zelda. So it's just like these titans go, it's like essentially the way I look at it is like Link to the Past is like the Miyamoto just mastering his craft, right? I think Miyamoto definitely worked on A Link to the Past. But yeah, mastering his craft, knocked it out of the park, did a great job. And then you have this fresh perspective into the 3D. And did Aonuma start with? I don't know if Aonuma started with.
You get into the back end stuff like that, and I don't know those details off the top of my head.
Aonuma might have started with into the 3D games of Ocarina of Time, but I lean more towards Ocarina of Time just because I love the setting, I love the world, I love the soundtrack to Ocarina of Time. It's so good. It's just one of those games that it's like comfort food for me. It fits so well, and I can pick it up and not put it down. Whereas Link to the Past, I pick it up and there's some points where I'm like, okay, I've seen enough, I've done enough.
I mean, Link to the Past, like, every time I've gone, like, I'm gonna be full out honest with you. The first time I beat Link to the Past all the way through was after I had finished beating Breath of the Wild.
Wow. Holy moly.
Yeah.
So you went from Breath of the Wild to Link to the Past. That's interesting.
And that was interesting. Like, I can't remember what my exact thoughts were on it at the time, but it's just like, it really, like, Link to the Past really did a lot more that, like, Breath of the Wild, a lot of the stuff that Breath of the Wild did, or, like, well, Breath of the Wild really went back to those themes. Because, like, you are given, like, at one point, halfway through the game, you're sort of like, okay, well, here's all the different places you could go. You can try and figure out how to get to each of them. They each have numbers, and, like, I guess that's the suggested order, but as far as I know, you can go to whichever one you want. So it's just like, it's just a lot more discovering your own way through the world, and a lot more of just, like, choosing how you want to approach the situation. Whereas with Ocarina, like, you can try and do some sequence breaking things and switch it around, but there is very much a single order that you are supposed to be going in. When I was a kid, because I couldn't, like, beat the dungeons or whatever, I definitely remember, like, bouncing between 3 or 4 of the dungeons, but that's probably because, like, I got far enough into the dungeon to get the item, and then, like, I was just like, I'm gonna go play with this out in the overworld, and went and did something else, and then I ended up getting the next thing. So it was just like, I definitely remember, like, bouncing between a few things as a kid. But
that actually brings me into a question that I want to ask you, and I've been thinking about this myself because I'm currently working on some stuff for a Mario marathon that I want to do primarily with the 3D titles. And I've been playing Super Mario 64. Now, obviously some of these older games, they don't really hold your hand. There's not the greatest sense of direction. It's kind of just like a vague, like, it's upper left. And you're like, okay. So, like, we'll go figure this out. When do you think it's appropriate, or if you even do, to use a guide? Will you use a walkthrough? Will you use personally, I like using, like, official strategy guides if I can find them. I will definitely use them. I've used them ever since I was a kid. I like doing them. But when do you feel like the game is almost cheated you and you feel like, all right, I have to figure this out, and, like, it's giving me no sense of direction?
I mean, I think it's a sliding scale. I think it depends on the person. It's just like, are you the type of person who enjoys hitting your head against a wall for 10 minutes and then finally figuring it out? Or, like, it's just like, sometimes it can be so, well, like, I feel like I've been cheated sometimes. Like, there'll be, like, something just off in one, like, you have to get the camera just, like, the right angle in a game to, like, see the thing. And it's just like, and that's, like, what moments I find, like, because I know I've had, like, moments like that are just like, oh, or, like, I'm one of those people that, like, I can look over a whole room looking for one thing, and I'll skip over it, like, 10 times because it's just, like, I just glaze over it for some reason. It's just like, it depends on, I mean, like, play games how you want to play games. It's just like, if you need a guide, go ahead and use a guide. I'm not gonna sit here and throw stones and tell you, oh, you're not playing the game the right way, or whatever. It's just like, but, for me, it's just like, the most recent time that I used a guide was, I wanted to 100% complete Breath of the Wild. And that meant, like, find all...
I just want to say, if you don't use a guide for Breath of the Wild, then there's something wrong with you. That game demands some type of something to hold your hand or some way to guide you, because that game is way too big to not try to tackle. Yeah, I just need to say that.
Yeah, so what I need... So, like, I use, like, an app on my phone that was like a Breath of the Wild map guide, and it, like, showed you where all the discoverable locations were on the map, and, like, where all 900 Korok seeds were, and also, like, where all the world bosses are, because you have to go around and kill each of the world bosses one time, like the Hinox, the Moldugas and all that. It's just like you need a guide if you want to get all 900 of those Korok seeds. Like they patched in later with like the DLC, the Korok mask, which should have just been in the game to help you find things. I was just like, that's something that should have just existed in the game. I was just like, to help you find all those guys. But yeah, it's just like use a guide where you feel you need to. Don't let other people tell you how to play your game.
The main reason that I ask is because there's some points where I feel like I can use a guide and I feel like it's, I wouldn't say justify because it's not like I'm doing anything wrong, but for the most part, I try to play through a game like, 100% myself. Like prime example was my first time playing Link's Awakening was the remake on Switch, and that game literally just like, here, go, like have at it, right? And I played through that entire game without a guide, and it like at some points you feel really rewarding. I mean, and it's not too difficult, but there are a lot of parts where you're kind of scratching your head and you're like, wait, what? Because it's literally just like, to the prairie, and you're like, do what at the prairie with what? And so I felt like I just feel, I felt really rewarding. But then there's some aspects when I'm playing a game like currently Super Mario 64 where it's literally like, I kid you not, there prime literally the reason I used a guide was in I forget what painting it was in, but there was one star, it's called Blast Off the Wall. Blast Off the Wall.
That sounds familiar. Like it's been a hot minute since I played that part into Mario 64, but that sounds familiar for some reason.
You get in a cannon and blast yourself into the side of a wall and like chip it off, and the star's in that.
How are you supposed to know that? Like when you jump into the level, does it show you anything?
No, it just says blast off the wall. It's not like,
does the wall look different?
Nope. I mean, well, yes, because there is one side that the side is essentially not chipped off, and then there's one that is. So I guess you could assume it from there, but like, it's so vague, but it's literal. It's
what
literally.
What level is this?
Oh, excuse me. Shoot, not what's the? It's literally the second painting you go into right after Bomb Battlefield, where the one boss is like the. I've only played Super Mario 64 this one time. Like that stone boss is where you have to just ground pound on his back. But it's
Whomp's Fortress.
Yes, Whomp's Fortress, and it's literally on the side. It's like a corner that you just shoot off, and it's literally blast off the wall, right? And I ran around there for like hours, like literal hours. I'm like, am I missing something? Like, what's going on here? And I was like,
okay, now I think I remember that. This was like, yeah, that's a weird one.
Yeah, and I'm just like, really? Like, at that, I was just like, yeah, I'm using a guide. I'm getting out of here. I'm done with this. Like moments like that where I'm like, I don't want to waste my time. Like,
like there are some games that just like demand you use the game. Like, not sorry to take it back to Zelda again, but like, you cannot try playing the original NES Zelda nowadays without a guide. Right? Like that was meant to like back in those days, like there would be like magazines coming out, or like you'd be talking to the people around you, like, oh, what did you do here and whatnot, like
drawing maps.
And drawing maps is just like, that is a game that is like a product of its time. It's just like really asks a lot more from you than what games ask from you today.
I'm pretty sure that some of those NES games literally came with guides.
Yeah, or like it would have like a lore book or something like that, like, and it would tell you things about the game.
I remember some NES titles from Nintendo came with like literal like guides. They were like, and I know even the SNES era, there were some times where it's like, get the game, you get the guide free, because like you said, those games were like tailored to like, get the guide, get the, the this, that, and the fourth. So they, that was like their, I don't want to say they're like microtransaction, but the guides were huge. Like they were like really, really, and even now they're almost faded into obscurity. They're still like
I mean, it's more of a collector's item now. It's just like because
for
you get the guides online now. It's just like you pay, like people do the guides online and they're free. It's
walkthroughs. I mean,
walkthrough
really
videos
knocked it out for me. I mean, like I said, I try to use actual guides, but walkthroughs, like...
While talking about online guides, I just want to give a shout out to I think it's IGN's guide on Link's on Link's Awakening. They wrote that in like the third person, so it's just like it's like read like a story. So it's just like Link decided to walk down to the water to get his sword. It's cool. Just like it's done in a fun voice. I only know that because I heard about it on different podcasts that I listened to where the writer said that they did that. I was just like, oh, that's actually a really cool thing. It's just like, you can still find cool things with guides here and there, but it's just like, for the most part, it's like, you either buy it as a collector's item, or you go online to find like the one answer that you need.
For me, it's like 50-50 nostalgia, because like I said, I've just used them growing up. And there's like, I don't know, there's this feeling that I have like when I, like for instance, replaying Twilight Princess, I've been using my actual guidebook. And like, there's this feeling that you can't get, just literally, grabbing the guidebook, setting it down, like turning it's just, there's even some guides where there's literally stuff that's not even in the game.
Yeah.
Right? Because some have like pre-release footage and stuff like that. I mean, like Prima, Brady, I don't know Brady, but I know Prima, like actual like, official products from Sony, from Nintendo, this, that, and the fourth. They'll write the guide before the game's out. So there's some stuff that didn't even make into the game. You're like,
I think I got like a
Wind Waker has some of that. I have the original guide from like the GameCube one.
I think I had a guide from something. I think like it was a book or something, but it came with like a map or like a poster that was like art for Twilight Princess.
No, I have that.
I gave it to you.
Yes,
yeah, but like there's stuff on that poster that isn't in the game, like because like, there's a moblin that wasn't used in the final game that is in there.
On the other side, it has something to do with Wind Waker or a Minish Cap. On the other side, it has something to do with, because it was from the Minish Cap guidebook that you gave me.
That's what it was.
Yeah, on the other side, it's the Minish Cap, and I remember when I flipped it over, it was Twilight Princess, and I looked at the copyright date, and it was like 2004, 2005, and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. So I remember I got it framed. I don't know where I have it, but that thing was awesome. Like, it looked great. It was like it was authentic. I was like, it was so cool. It was a moblin. There was like 4 still pictures that they had in the corner. It was pretty much just a picture of Link, Twilight Princess Link. I think he had a sword sheath. I don't think it was out. And then there were like 4 pictures in the corner of like one of him on a horse, one with a mob. I think it might have been a moblin or just a different color moblin that wasn't in the game.
Well, I mean, like, no, because in Twilight Princess you had your bokoblins, and then then you didn't have, you didn't have like the big, more like stout big ones at all. Yeah. Like, they weren't in the game. You only have the bokoblins. Like, the only moblin that you see really is like the bokoblin boss, who they fight like 3 times through the game, and it's just like, that's a very different design. Yeah,
I've the time that I've spent back with Twilight Princess, it even though I'm playing like the HD Wii U version, it still for some reason feels like there's a lot of motion control in there. Like the way Link moves his hand, it's kind of like some points I'm like, God,
Twilight Princess is like a very special game for me, because that was like where I came online as like a gamer. Like I followed everything, because like
2005,
2006. It was
the launch of the Wii.
2006.
Wait, did Twilight Princess launch with the Wii? Launch day?
Yeah, it came, but it also came out on the GameCube. I'm not sure if it was
release. Right,
I'm not sure if it was day and date, but like, that's where I came, like, because like that was another big Christmas for me, because like I remember my dad going out and looking for the Wii that Christmas, but like that's because like from the summer, like I had just discovered Nintendo Power magazine at that point, and like the E3 issue was Twilight Princess, and there was like 3 pages on Twilight Princess, and they talked about like the revolution at the time, and it even came with with a DVD that had the trailer for Twilight Princess.
There's actually the one thing that I would love to own that I don't think I'll ever get to own in my entire life. That E3
had the demo card for the DS. Yeah, I looked at that. It's expensive.
A bit of it is playable, as if I remember correctly.
No, it's just like a trailer.
Yeah, that's right. It's just a trailer. but it's like a legit DS cartridge, and some press got it, and it's very expensive.
Yeah, like you can find it on eBay. It's super expensive.
Yeah, and I was like,
I looked at it once.
So cool to have. Like that is like something like really cool to have.
Yeah, but that Christmas was another like I got for that Christmas I got the Zelda Collector's Guide.
Did they do a Wii bundle with Twilight Princess, or did it?
No, it definitely didn't have its own bundle.
So it just launched with the.
Yeah, it's just like it was like that Christmas I got like Zelda T-shirts, Zelda hoodies, like a Zelda Collector's Guide, an Ocarina, like I showed you this the other day when we were at Pandora's Cube.
Yeah,
is just like like the collector's mini like scale replica shield and sword from Target and all that. That was like a Zelda Christmas for me. So like Twilight Princess has a very special place in my heart.
My history with Twilight Princess is actually my friend Alan at the time was, like I said, we probably heavy into Pokemon, and we'd go to his house to like upload our Pokemon from Diamond and Pearl to Battle Revolution on the Wii, so we could play them on the Wii. But we played like Melee at his house. We even had the N64 where we play like the original Smash Bros. And he was really hyped for Twilight Princess. But as you know, getting a Wii was like near impossible. So I'm pretty sure he got it for the GameCube because he couldn't get it for the Wii. And then he ended up getting a Wii and he got it for the Wii too. But I remember that was a big deal, was trying to find one of those. I remember my uncle, that's how I first played the Wii, was his, but he would like stand outside at night at like Best Buys, like trying to track one down. And I think at the time his girlfriend was able to get one for him, and it was like unheard of, right? Like it was literally like everyone and their mom wanted one strictly because of Wii Sports.
I think what happened for me was like we were like my family was living in Maryland at the time, but we were seeing we went up to my grandma's place in New York for Thanksgiving that year, and I remember my dad going out like at like 3:00, coming back home, like going out at 3:00 to Best Buy that morning to get one Black Friday, and he managed, and I'm pretty sure that's where he managed to get our Wii. It was like a Black Friday early morning thing at Best Buy.
I think I got mine, definitely got it years down the line, probably like 2009, 2010, and I know I got it used from GameStop. Most of the consoles that we would get were excluding like, because my brother was older, so pretty much the only way we got a brand new home console is if my older brother wanted one. Because like, it was, for me, it was just like, here, take the DS, you know, like, and I didn't really care because I was satisfied with it. But like we got the Wii kind of, you know, 2009, we got the 360 day one. GameCube we had, the N64 we kept on for a while.
I think the reason my family was like Nintendo hardcore was all like N64, Wii U, N64, GameCube, Wii, all 4-player, all compatible. It's just like, whereas like PS2 only had like two player controllers.
The launch Wii was backwards compatible with the GameCube.
Yeah.
I remember that was a big deal because when my friend Alan had the Wii, we were still so hyped that we could still play Melee because, I mean, everyone and their mother played Melee for days on days. But I remember, actually, now that I think about it, the DS and like the Wii era were literally some of my fondest memories of like, even though I was still like glued to Pokemon and didn't really play much outside of it, that time, like in school, just like outside with friends, like Nintendo was on top.
Well,
like,
yeah, and like
everywhere, like
like, and also a large part of their thing, like with like Wii and like the Wii was originally branded as. It's just like it was meant to get people together.
It was everywhere.
It was very like consumer friendly. I mean, I'm not sure if consumer friendly is the right thing, but it was very like casual friendly.
Yeah, it was definitely consumer
and like
friendly.
it was a low bar to entry for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It wasn't like oh, you're gonna sit down and you're gonna play this stealth game where you have to hide from everything or whatever. It's just like, it wasn't stuff like that. It was like very family friendly, like easy to jump in games.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like most people that owned the Wii only owned like 4 games. You know, it was Wii Sports, Mario Kart, maybe a Wii Fit, and like something else. And I remember the sheer popularity of the Wii and the DS was just like unrivaled. I mean, there was one Christmas where my pop-up got a DS. He got a DS and Brain Age. I don't think he even opened it, but like it was just like my pop-up is like, we played like, video, like definitely not like your go-to, like here's a DS, like, but I remember he got one for Christmas. I remember there was even a commercial with Beyonce. Like it was huge. Everyone had one, right? It was just everywhere you went, there was someone with a DS. Someone had Wii, the Wii and Wii Sports. Like Nintendo was like, they even outsold the 360 and the PS3. Like especially the DS, like the second best-selling console right under the PS2. They were huge, and it's always funny because Nintendo will start here with one console, then dip down, then come right back up. Like what they think with the N64 that sold around like 32, 34 million units.
And then the Wii U's, like the GameCube did like 13 or 14 million.
The GameCube dipped down to like 21. And
it was something really small.
Yeah, the original Xbox even outsold it. Then the Wii shot up to like 101. They just, like you said, they captured that casual audience like really well. Then the Wii U
was 12, 13. That one was
13 million. And then the Switch right now is probably, I would say, close to like 64, 65 as of now. And I think the Switch is probably going to be, I think it's going to outsell the Wii for sure. And the cool thing about the Switch is like, its selling point is kind of a gimmick. Right? It's a handheld, but like there's also no gimmicks, right? Like most of what Nintendo sold us is core Nintendo, right? It's not like all right, like get your balance board out. It's like, it's like a true like Nintendo experience. Like every first party game, I think they've done for the most part a good job. Some stuff they've given us is pretty standard, like Yoshi, Kirby, stuff like that. I don't think they're gonna ever really experiment with those series. It'd be nice, but for like Odyssey, knocked it out of the park. Breath of the Wild,
I don't think Kirby's ever gonna really be as big as it was in the past.
Yeah. The only reason I think Kirby was I think Kirby's best-selling game was the first game, and I think the only reason Kirby saw that big, it sold like 5 million units. I think the only reason it saw that success is because it launched on the Game Boy, and the Game Boy was another like revolution. Like everyone and their mom had that, and the Game Boy was around for over a decade.
Yeah, that's something I realized recently. It's just like it had easily half a dozen iterations.
Yeah.
Like it's just like the Game Boy, the Game Boy Pocket, the Game Boy Light, the
Game Boy Color.
Game Boy Color, like the Game Boy Pocket.
We really pretty much that was all due to Pokemon. The Game Boy was on its way out, and then once
the Color Game Boy.
Yeah. Once freaking we got blue and red in the States, it just shot up like crazy. I remember that was a fun. Actually, no. When I was growing up, Pokemon was actually like, it's still super popular, but it was like, it was on Gen 3, so like it was. People like didn't want to admit they were fans. People were like, I don't play it anymore, and some people just completely jumped ship. So it was like fading out, and it really didn't pick back up until.
For me, like it didn't. I didn't really see that like drop off until like we hit the DS era with it.
I'd say Gen 5 is when I saw the second kind of drop off. Gen 5 was, and even me, like I still was a big fan, but I skipped over Black
Gen 5 is Black and White, right?
Yeah, I skipped over those because I played Unova to death. And the next game that I bought was X and Y, and I bought a 3DS for that game. And then I went back and played White 2 and Black 2, and they're great. They're freaking awesome. They're actually probably better than most games we've gotten. And then X and Y was just like, I really liked those, but it was strictly because it was like 3D, it was new, and I was like, yeah, I like, that's the first game I like followed like to date. I saw all the coverage for it. I like every leak I kept up on. There was like a live stream at Nintendo New York for it, and I was like eagerly waiting. I walked over to my local GameStop as soon as it came out, and I played that, and I probably beat it in like 3 days, and I was like, this game is awesome. And then after that, it properly, it stayed. During that time, the Wii U was doing terrible, and the 3DS was keeping Nintendo afloat. So, Pokemon was pretty popular. It was a big, it's pretty, I don't think Nintendo owns Pokemon. I know they own like a stake in it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I actually talked to a Nintendo rep about this. Do you remember Derek?
I mean, smallish kind of
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, I didn't know his name, but I saw him once or twice.
So apparently, I didn't know this. I thought it was a group effort, essentially. Like the Pokemon company's in on it, Game Freak's in on it. But Nintendo just straight up pays Game Freak for the games. And that's all a profit to Nintendo. Like that's what he told me. So essentially, there's no profit in those for the Pokemon company. It's like, hey, we want Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Here's your millions and millions of dollars. Give us the games. So that's what he told me.
I mean, there's got to be technically profit in it. Like, they don't make, like, X amount off each copy sold, but, like...
I mean, they get paid for... I don't know how it works, but you would think, right? I mean, like, Pokemon games sell, like, a lot. So I don't think the Pokemon company would be like, yeah, we don't want any of it. It's all right. Like, they have to get something, because we're talking millions upon millions of... I'd say probably close to $1 billion on some of those games. I mean, they sell, what... so Sword and Shield's close to 20 million, which is they're on their way to be this to outbeat Gold and Silver, and then after that it's Gen 1, which there's no way they'll beat Gen 1 even with the DLC. They'll probably, I think, around 22 23, that's when we'll see those guys done, and then we'll probably see Let's Go Johto next. That just makes sense, and then after that, who knows? I don't know. I'm thinking that they take Pokemon to like full mobile, like the main series, like full mobile.
Don't say that to me. Oh, why you gotta be like that?
All right, so I think that's gonna wrap it up for our first episode. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.
All right, bye-bye. See ya.